The Suzuka GP has brought down the worst behaviour from Hamilton and Russell, and it seems like the tension in the Brackley-based squad has arisen to a level that they might not be able to control soon. One of the key points of the race was the fight between Russell and Hamilton in the opening laps of the race, where Hamilton sent his younger compatriot wide before overtaking him on the main straight, something that really grinded Russell's gears and made him disobey team orders 4 laps before the end of the race. After recent statements from Mercedes, it's been more or less confirmed that there will be a lot of trouble once Mercedes gets the championship-winning car, and that will definitely resonate some uncomfortable memories for Hamilton, who had to go through this scenario from 2014 to 2016 with Rosberg. So, is Hamilton going to emerge as the winner, especially after his latest statement regarding the car development? Now, Hamilton and Russell had a fierce fight in Suzuka, going wheel to wheel on multiple occasions, and the last one, with 4 laps remaining on the circuit, was the absolute nail in the coffin for Russell. The younger Brit didn't agree to let Hamilton by easily, and both of the W14s were under severe pressure from Carlos Sainz, who kind of laughed off at the strategy that Mercedes tried to implement in order to keep him behind for a longer period of time as possible. Hamilton pulled the undercut on Russell in the opening laps of the race as soon as he saw that his biggest opponent on the track would actually be the guy who sits next to him in the garage. Russell knew that he needed to do something different in order to stay competitive, which is why he extended the lifespan of the medium compound tyre for as much as he could in order to go for the one stopper. It was definitely a questionable decision, considering the fact that Suzuka is a high degradation track and there wasn't much hope behind his tactic anyway. Regardless, when Hamilton pitted for the second time and came close to passing Russell in order to save themselves from an unnecessary drama, Mercedes gave Russell the order to let Hamilton by. It's safe to say that this triggered Russell, who already questioned Mercedes' tactics much earlier in the race when he pushed him off the track, asking who are they racing actually here, themselves or the others. But after letting Hamilton pass in turn 1, it's safe to say that Russell had one of the hardest missions in the world, keeping the prancing horse behind, one that he failed in the first lap of the challenge. But with Hamilton managing to build a solid difference ahead, he was asked to slow down and give Russell the DRS advantage, something that the younger Brit asked himself as a team play after letting him ahead. While agreeing with this initially, Hamilton lost 0.8 seconds to Russell, and eventually, George was overtaken by Sainz, meaning that the 7-time world champion had ultimately lost 0.8 seconds for nothing. Speaking about this matter, Hamilton didn't shy away from words as he slammed the team's tactic decision to give Russell the DRS advantage in the same way that Sainz did to Norris one race before in Singapore, one on which overtaking is a lot harder compared to Suzuka. Elaborating further on this matter, Lewis said, "I don't think it was a good idea. When they suggested it to me, I knew that they obviously thought of it from the last race and it made no sense. I needed to get as far ahead as possible, and I was on my way. I was around 2 seconds ahead, and they asked me to give George DRS. So I had to come off the gas down the straight to get him 0.8 seconds behind. Then he got the DRS, but then he got overtaken, which was going to happen because he was on a 1-stop. Sainz got past Russell, and then he was right on my tail, so not ideal. It made it very, very hard for the last couple of laps. I think as a team, we've got to be grateful for 5th and 7th. It's better than 6th and 7th. Well, obviously Mercedes utilised the most out of the situation, and even though Hamilton closed the gap to Perez in the Drivers' Championship to just 33 points, the lead to Ferrari shrunk by an additional 6 points, meaning that it's now just 20 points in the favour of the Brackley-based squad. And all of this is creating tension in Mercedes as it brings back the vibes that we've been used to seeing from 2014 to 2016, where Hamilton and Rosberg went head-to-head in almost every race, which often resulted in Hamilton's favour, with the exception of 2016 when the German driver won his only title and retired afterward. However, Sky F1 pundits have raised the question as to whether or not the situation from Mercedes was the right one, as Anthony Davidson and Ted Kravitz commented on this matter and supported Russell's case, as Davidson went on to elaborate. "I think Russell was right. Why make this change in the first place? I think they were worried that Carlos would find his way past Hamilton and then do this to George without DRS. It would have been easier. They were looking at it from the worst case scenario. George was looking at it like, let me stay in front, I've got Lewis covered, he's got Carlos covered, he's got better tyres than me, he's getting a better exit from the chicane than I'll have at this stage of the race, there's more risk of me getting overtaken than Lewis. But as you could probably imagine, Mercedes is not very keen that its drivers are fighting for scrap positions, and while they would much likely prefer these battles to be the Indigo replicated ones from 2014 to 2016, this is still far from happening. The season that they have set as a target for themselves to win the championship is 2025, and up until this point, it seems like the tension between both of its drivers will continue to brew to a point of no return, where one of them would have to prevail as the alpha male in the team. Karun Chandok believes that Toto Wolff had some serious trouble in calming down both of its drivers after the race, and he's been instructed to soothe the tension from boiling over because it seems like Mercedes are forgetting that they're still far away from the championship fight, and up until that point, there is no obvious leader in the preference of the team. Even though Hamilton leads Russell with 75 points in the Drivers' Championship after being shockingly beaten last year with the most troublesome car that has exited production from Brackley, the W13. Talking about this matter, the Sky F1 pundit said, "I believe Mercedes have the strongest driver lineup in Formula 1. I think it's a combination of two guys who are extremely fast. but also very good at working together and as a team harmoniously. It's not like Lewis and Rosberg when it got a bit edgy. George pushes Lewis much more than Bottas did, so I think in that way he makes for a better teammate. They've got a cracking lineup, so why change?" Lewis is clearly still motivated and hungry to try and get that 8th world title. Personally, I'd like to see it. I remember growing up when Schumacher won his 7th and thinking, wow, this is so cool to be here to watch history being made. Well, this is definitely the main reason why Hamilton kept himself in the game for the past couple of years, and the reason why he continued the collaboration with Mercedes after the controversial end of the 2021 season. So be that as it may, I highly doubt that he would kneel before any teammate on his way to achieving what hasn't been achieved from any F1 driver so far. Mercedes have a lot of work to do before they make this scenario happen, however, and that's why Lewis Hamilton has been very harsh on his team when it comes to car development. He did say that the upcoming 6 months are going to be the hardest ones and probably the most important ones in the team's existence, because the gap to Red Bull is almost uncatchable, but from what we've seen from McLaren, nothing is impossible. Hamilton has been one of the loudest voices in Mercedes when it comes to pushing the car in a different direction. And for the first time ever, it seems like the team will listen to his wishes and will try to implement them accordingly on the W15. So one thing that we need to be looking forward to is not only the remainder of this calendar, but the upcoming campaign as well. With how Russell has been constantly proving to be a thorn in the eye of Hamilton, and with the never-dying will of the 38-year-old driver to win the 8th record-breaking championship, there seems to be a tension that we're not going to avoid in the foreseeable future, and as a result, only one of the drivers can emerge as a winner from it. So, who do you think it will be? Let us know in the comments down below.